In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about resetting your sleep routine for the 40 plus woman, because so often we see so much out there about morning routines, getting up, getting productive, and believe me, I used to be that person that was obsessed with cultivating the perfect morning routine, and I still love a morning routine. However, I think a sleep routine is where many of us could be missing a trick, especially if you are someone who is wanting to lose a little bit of weight, you're wanting to improve your health, you want to be better with your eating habits, you generally just want to have more energy. Because once I got over the age of 40, oh my God, did it hit me like a ton of bricks. If I have not had a good night's sleep, it affects simply everything. It affects my cognition, my ability to get up and do things. It affects my productivity. It affects my ability to work out. It affects my ability to make good decisions with food choices because I just want to eat. And I feel like I get to the point where I cannot eat enough to satisfy my hunger. And there is a lot of science to back it up. So it's frustratingly ironic that once we get over the age of 40, actually prioritizing sleep is more important than ever. But yeah, it starts to be this phase where it seems to evade us, whether that is that you can't get to sleep because having a busy mind, or you can't stay asleep because you need to get up and have a pee, or you're having hot sweats in the night. Whatever the reason may be for you, I hope that this video will give you some inspiration and some things to think about when it comes to prioritizing your sleep, because it helps our body to recover from exercise, it helps us to have better willpower, it helps us to make better food choices, it can help us to be more productive and get more things done. It can help with our fat loss efforts. And generally, I know I'm a much better person. I'm a far nicer mother, friend, human being when I have had a good night's sleep. And I know that it can't be just me, because I speak to my Better Body members about this. While some people sleep great, I know a lot of people really struggle with this element. And a recent survey on sleep found that 13% of Brits get less than 6 hours sleep. As many as 1/4 of Brits say that they have to take something to help get them to sleep or keep them to sleep, and up to 36% say that they have to have a drink to be able to fall asleep. And that last one is actually a huge misconception. So many people, I've worked with clients who said, oh, I sleep better when I've had a glass of wine in the evening. But here's the kicker. Yes, alcohol can be a sedative, which can help you get to sleep. But what it leads to is poor quality sleep. So waking up the next day feeling groggy. Alcohol is not your friend when it comes to better sleep. This is not a video to say this is the step-by-step one-stop solution. I don't believe that when we're building habits or routines that is ever the truth. I want to give you the relevant information and some tools and tactics that can work, but this is always going to be about experimentation and figuring out what works for you, what you actually enjoy and look forward to doing, and the ones that you can implement on a regular basis. And this isn't just me and my own personal experience. There are studies that show if you are not getting enough sleep, that you are likely to eat more. And I think for a lot of women, when we come into approach weight loss, or more specifically fat loss, that this can often be a missing component or key that we don't even really think to factor in. I often hear women say that they just struggle with willpower, or that they don't have the energy to work out. When we bring it all back to the basics, if you are feeling well rested and you have more energy, the other elements of your health and fitness practices are going to be far easier to put into place. Just think about the last time that you woke up after a poor night's sleep. What did you choose to eat? What did you feel like eating? What were you like, oh my God, I just need to have that thing? How was your ability to get up and move about and do activity? Did you get a workout in on that day? Chances are, if you've not had a good night's sleep, most of that probably goes out of the window. And it's not just your lack of willpower. There's science to back this up. Studies show that if you get poor quality sleep or not feeling fully rested, you are likely to consume more food. And the studies that looked at people who were sleep deprived, a 2019 meta-analysis found that impaired sleep led to increases levels of hunger, increased calorie consumption by 250 calories per day. And that might not seem by a lot, but that can accumulate over time, leading to weight gain. decreased insulin sensitivity. Your body can't effectively do what the insulin is there to meant to do, so it keeps on producing more of it rather than shunting that energy into the muscles where it can be utilized and used up and burnt off, causing it to be more easily stored as body fat. They also found that there were changes in brain activity, particularly around self-control. Think about it, that last time, how was your willpower on that day that you were super tired? And then these people in the meta-analysis also gained weight because of all of the above. Fear not, just because you sleep poorly does not mean that you are destined to be that way forever. When it comes to making changes to your sleep schedule or your habits and practicing better sleep hygiene, it's not a quick fix. It's going to take a little bit of practice. It's going to take some work and consistency, but I do believe that over time, with the right things that are relevant to you, that you can definitely start to make improvements in your sleep quality and duration. There was a study by the GAMA International Medicine that found that when participants extended their sleep to 8.5 hours, the participants went on to consume 270 calories less per day without any other intervention. So they weren't told to eat any less. Just by getting more sleep, they naturally ate less food. And isn't that super interesting? We know that if you want to effectively lose weight, then being in a calorie deficit is the way in which you are going to do that, which is all well and good. But often when you are feeling tired, when you are fatigued, and when you get to a certain age, like sometimes you just like, stuff it all. When you have those moments when you just need something, relying on willpower can seem near on impossible. So looking at that specific study, that is likely to be linked to our hormone balance, particularly the hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Studies have shown that when you are getting an adequate amount of sleep, you have less ghrelin and more leptin. So ghrelin is the hormone that tells you you are hungry. When you are sleep deprived, that ghrelin increases, the hunger increases, and you naturally want to eat more food. When you are sleep deprived, we also have less leptin. Leptin is the hormone that tells you that you are full and you are satiated and you have had enough. We have less of that. So we got more ghrelin, we got less leptin. The result, continually wanting to eat and consume food. However, when you have had a good night's sleep and you are well rested, the reverse happens. We have less ghrelin in our body and more leptin, which can therefore lead to consuming less calories throughout the day. So I hope that really signifies how important the element of getting good quality sleep. So we're going to get into some sleep strategies that have been shown to be the most beneficial and some of the tools that I've been using to help increase and improve my own sleep schedule. I'm currently aiming for around 8 hours. I used to be around the 7.5 mark since I'd started doing more research into midlife, menopause, perimenopause, and also PCOS, because a lot of these are linked. As I'm a sufferer of PCOS, the recommendation is to try and edge towards 8 hours. If that seems like a way off for you, do not stress, do not panic. This is not meant to induce stress. The key here is reducing your stress levels, and actually more sleep is one of the best ways to combat stress. So I want you to think about where you are right now. Let me know down in the comments, how many hours sleep do you currently get? And then also consider within your lifestyle, what could your ideal sleep amount look like? What is something to aim towards? Because more sleep is going to lead to more and easier weight loss, and if you're like anything like me, it's going to lead you to be a happier, calmer, more joyful person to be around. The first one that I'm going to talk on supplementation is magnesium. I absolutely swear by magnesium. I've probably taken it pretty consistently for the past 12-15 years. I use Better You magnesium. It's a transdermal magnesium, so it's taken and it's absorbed directly through the skin. Some studies show that this is more beneficial because it goes straight into the bloodstream rather than having to bypass the digestive system when we take it in capsule form. We don't always digest all of the nutrients that we consume, so some of that can get lost in the digestion, which is why I personally like to take it transdermally. I really love the Better You products because they're super affordable. The next thing up is caffeine. Now, I know we have a lot of caffeine caffeine lovers out there, and I'm certainly not going to say to stop drinking it. I love a cup of coffee every now and then. Actually, that's something quite new for me to say. I'm quite new to the coffee drinking world. I am more of a matcha tea kind of girl, but either way, I'm taking my caffeine. I stop and do not have any caffeine after midday. And that might seem a little bit excessive, especially if you are at work in the afternoon and you're having that 3 o'clock slump. But remember, the goal here is that we have better sleep so that overall you might not get that 3 o'clock slump. Caffeine can get us in this cycle where you think you need that boost and then it dies off and you think you need another boost, but still by the point that you go to bed, because caffeine has a 10-hour half-life. If you are having caffeine at midday, half of that is still in your system at 12 o'clock at night. So I have that rule of no more caffeine after midday, and I switch to caffeine free, or generally for me will be a herbal tea alternative. And keep in mind, I'm talking to people here that are struggling to have a good solid night's sleep. I speak to so many people that I can have a coffee before bed and still sleep amazing. Awesome. I'm so happy for you. But if you are struggling with sleep, introducing caffeine-free alternatives in the afternoon might be beneficial to you. Step number 3, no screen time, at least, I think actually some of the studies on this are talking about like up to 90 minutes. I try and have at least 30 minutes. I would like to stretch it out that little bit longer. Being off the phone in the evening when I run my business online can be a challenge, and that could be a whole video in itself. But when it comes to sleep, the blue light that is emitted from our devices does have an impact on the brain. It signals to the brain that it's still daytime, it's still time to be awake, and that this activity is going on. Whereas we can start to have this wind down period that includes coming away from bright lights, just coming off your screen that little bit earlier before bed could start to make an impact for you. So the way that I like to do it is that I'm delving into being in my reading era. I've just started a fantastic new book series that I'm absolutely loving. So going to bed that little bit earlier, sitting in bed with a book rather than being on a screen. If you need a book recommendation, I've just started reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, and oh my god, I'm absolutely hooked already. And I think there's about 5 or 6 of these, so it's got plenty of reading material for a while to come. I also just started doing this. It's actually a device for helping with hair growth. So after doing my rosemary oil for hair regrowth video, that is part of a practice that I still implement. So I do start to do my hair oiling. I'll do a little bit of head massage. I'm also doing my castor oil and face lymphatic drainage massage to help with my dark circles. Again, I'll link my castor oil video, but these are experiments that I've started to implement and that have become part of my daily practices, because having this wind down period, I'm getting off my phone. I'm working on elements of like my beauty routine that as we get older becomes more important, as the bags under my eyes will tell me, the thinning of my hair. But actually what I'm finding is that this practice is also helping to calm my nervous system down. So I then get down in bed with my book. I then have this new addition to my wind down routine, which is a little bit extra, I'm not going to lie. This is the Grow Band, and I've been very kindly gifted this. I'll be put the details down in the description, but it is a self scalp massager. If there is one thing that's going to help to stimulate hair regrowth, it is scalp massage. But not only that, it's going to help relieve any tension you might have in your scalp, so it makes it an excellent addition to a wind down routine. It can relieve tension, and it just really helps me with the addition of some breath work to really get into that calm down state of mind as I'm getting ready to go to sleep at night and improve my sleep. Always like to do my 4-7-8 breathing. So that's breathing in for 4, holding for 7, breathe out for 8. I repeat that for 4 rounds. Again, that's just calming of the nervous system. The next key tip that Matthew Walker talks a lot about in his book Why We Sleep. Again, I'll put the links for everything down below and a full blog post on this, so you've got all of these resources. And he talks a lot about having a regular wake and sleep schedule. And this is just aligning yourself with your circadian rhythm so that your body naturally wakes up and is ready to fall asleep at the same time each day. This can obviously be a little bit more difficult on the weekends if you've got any events or anything going on, but as a general rule, have your set sleep and wake time. So decide how many hours is it that you want to get into your sleep schedule. work out what time you have to get up at in the morning to go to work, to do whatever it is that you do in the day, and then work that way backwards so that you know what time it is for you to go to bed. See, I know that I want to be aiming for 8 hours. That is 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning is my general wake up time. So I generally like to start doing, it is really early, and I think sometimes the kids are like, oh my God, Mom, you go to bed so early, but I start doing my wind down routine, coming off my phone, doing beauty routine before I then get into bed, and try and aim to read my book for about half an hour before going to sleep so that I am asleep by 10 o'clock. It doesn't always work perfectly, but that is my aim, and I've got a general guide that I'm working towards. The closer that you can stick to those regular times, the more energized, and I find that sometimes I will just naturally wake up in the morning before my alarm, and that is always a good signal to me. I know I've slept well. I know that I'm going to have more energy when I wake up naturally before my alarm. Next one is morning light exposure, and Andrew Huberman talks a lot about this on his podcast, so that when you wake up in the morning, you are exposing yourself to sunlight. This can obviously be more difficult dependent on your sleep schedule. When I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning in the winter, there ain't no sun in the sky, but at the soonest opportunity that you get yourself outside in front of direct sunlight, even if it is just coming and opening the curtains in the morning and standing in front of the window, it's a signal to the circadian rhythm that it is time to wake up, time to go about your day, so that we can work towards having more energy. This is particularly for my midlife ladies. No fluids 2 hours before bed. I do find this incredibly difficult, and it's always a work in progress. Always try and have at least an hour, but I would like to have longer. But getting up in the middle of the night is one of the most annoying things to me. Having at least 1 hour before bed where I don't have any fluids, it really helps with that. And I always like to have like a bedtime, nighttime tea, whether that's chamomile or one of the other infusions that I enjoy, and I like to have that as I'm chilling out and reading my book. But I try to have that now when I'm downstairs, and then when I go upstairs and do my bedtime routine, that I'm not having any more fluids before bed to try and prevent that middle of the night wake up. And touching on waking up needing the toilet, I actually read this article that was saying if you do wake up and need the toilet, just tell yourself it's not time to wake up, that you're going back to sleep and you're not going to be getting up and going to the toilet. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's just unbearable and I kind of have to get up. If you are someone who wakes up in the middle of the night and gets back to sleep, I highly recommend Sleep Stories. There is an incredible, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I will put it on the screen. He does the most incredible sleep stories. I usually don't get past like the first 5 minutes, but if I wake up in the night and I start thinking about something and my brain's going wild that I can't get back to sleep, I will put on these sleep stories, and they're just so soothing. His voice is really soothing. I love them, and generally they just knock me straight back out, and I'm incredibly grateful for discovering those sleep stories. In fact, if I ever go on YouTube at nighttime, it's always the first thing that comes up in my feed, because I think my YouTube knows that if I'm on YouTube at that time of night, I want a sleep story. And then the final one is to have a controlled environment, and I've put this as the final one because it can be incredibly difficult to get the perfect environment for optimal sleep. Of course, if we all had access to air conditioning, we live in Europe, we don't do air conditioning in Europe. I just moved into my new house, which is at the peak of the house, and it was so hot in the summer. So in the summertime, I would go and open my windows so that my bedroom would be cooler. I'd have to have the shutters down in the daytime to keep the sun off it, and then in the evening when it's a little bit cooler, open the windows. So if you can have your bedroom cooler, 18 degrees Celsius, as much as you can, have your room as dark as you can. In fact, it drives me nuts when the kids leave the bathroom light on in the night because the light comes under the door. I really want a sleep mask. I have shutters on my windows, which keeps it really dark. I also see a lot of people with these Sleep 8 mattresses, and oh my goodness, how wonderful would that be? If you get too hot in the night, it cools you down. If you get too cold, it warms you up. That is the absolute dream. But at £2,000 for a mattress, that's just not available for me. So I'm just going to crack a window open to cool myself off and just try and do what I can with what I've got available to me. And then things just as having as least light in your room as possible and reducing noise, whether that's placing earplugs in your ears, because that's the only thing that you can do to drown out some of the noise, or your husband snoring next door, which is often a thing that I annoyingly have to contend with. Also, we can only do what we can do. This list is certainly not exhaustive, and it's not for you to do all at once, but maybe one of those ideas sparks something and you're like, yes, I'm going to try out that one thing. If you can string 2 or 3 of them together, the key is you find the right sleep routine that works for you. If you commit to doing some work and putting some work into optimizing your sleep routine to improve better sleep, I know that you're going to have better results with your health and fitness goals along the way. I'd love to know what you think, if there's anything extra that I should have added to this list, or what is your sleep schedule that is working best for you right now. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.